Okay, we are now live and I'm just making sure I remember to hit record. So welcome to Tuesday night, Michelle's Formula for Success. And like, how can it be Tuesday night already? The last week seems to have just flashed by. So I hope you've all had a fabulous day. I've spent most of the day talking to people. I've had lots of different meetings and things. So it's been great because there's nothing I love better than meeting new people and finding out what they do and what makes them tick. So anyway, as I said, tonight it's our time to just kick back and go through some of the aspects of what I believe makes up the formula for success. And tonight, let me just share the screen and find the right page. There we go. So I've posed a little question for you this week, and I've said, is time management a misnomer? So let's have a little chat about that. But before we get into that question of the evening, just kick back, relax. You might want to grab a cuppa or a glass of vino. Just settle in for a little bit. We want, 20 minutes, half an hour, and we'll have a chat about some of the things that make up Michelle's formula for success. And each week, as we go through these different topics, what I'm hoping to do is get you to think, well, one thing, but also come up with an idea or an action point that you'll be able to implement straight away into your business, which is going to help you on your path to growth and your path to success. And for me, my fundamental purpose is to help business owners succeed. And I feel like the more knowledge and skills that I can share with you, the more opportunity that I have to help and support you. So it's a win-win situation. Now, as I said, what I've chosen to talk about tonight is, could we think of time management as a misnomer? Or is the challenge not really to manage time, but to manage ourselves? So perhaps instead of focusing on time and things, maybe we should be looking towards accomplishing results instead. So let's have a little bit of a look. Let me get my words correct. Let's have a little bit of a look about how the field of time management has progressed, the evolution of time management, if you'd like to call it that. So in your time management, really, we've gone through a number of different iterations or generations, and each one has seemed to build on the previous one. And each one moves us towards greater control of our lives. So the first generation is characterized by notes and checklists, an effort to give some semblance of recognition and inclusiveness to the many demands placed on our time and energy. Now, the second generation could be characterized by calendars and appointment books. And this generation reflects an attempt to look ahead, to schedule the events and activities of the future. And then the third generation reflects the addition to the first two generations of the key ideas of prioritization, clarifying your values, and comparing the relative worth of the activities based on their relationship to your values. And in addition, this third generation focuses on setting goals, specific, long, intermediate, and short-term targets that our time and energy would be directed in a way that is in alignment with our values. And it also includes the concept of daily planning and making a specific plan to accomplish those goals and activities that are of the greatest worth to you. So whilst the third generation has made a significant contribution, people have begun to realize that efficient scheduling and control of time can actually be, at times, counterproductive. So what do I mean by that? So this focus on efficiency can create expectations that clash with meeting human needs, or clash with enjoying spontaneous moments, or clash when you have one of those days when just shit happens. And as a result, people can judge themselves negatively when they don't stick to their schedule, or they can become turned off by the time management programs and planners that actually make them feel too scheduled, too restricted, too bound in. And then often what happens is they revert to the first or second generation techniques, which they feel then that helps them to preserve their relationships, puts a bit of space for spontaneity back into their life, and in some ways can actually improve the quality of their life. And then we get to the fourth generation that recognizes that the challenge is not to manage time, but to actually manage ourselves, which then raises the question that time management is a misnomer, which is a wrong or inaccurate use of the term. So rather than focusing on things in time, the focus becomes on preserving and enhancing relationships and accomplishing results. In short, maintaining balance. So where does that take us? So this is quite a well-known time management matrix. And in the diagram here, we have 4 quadrants numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we have up here urgent, not urgent, important, and not important. So as you can see, the 2 factors that define an activity are urgent and important. Now, urgent in this case means it requires immediate attention. It's now. And urgent things act on us. For example, a ringing phone. Many people actually cannot stand the thought of allowing the phone to just ring. They will drop everything to answer the phone rather than just letting it go. And urgent matters are usually visible. They press on us, they insist on action, and they're often popular with others. They're usually right in front of us, and often they are pleasant, easy, and fun to do. But very often they are unimportant. Importance, on the other hand, has to do with results. If something is important, it contributes to your mission, your values, and your priorities. So we react to urgent matters. Important matters that are not urgent actually require more initiative and more proactivity. We must actually act to seize the opportunity and make things happen. However, if we actually don't have a clear idea of what is important, what results we want, what goals we want to achieve, we can be diverted into responding to the urgent. So on the diagram here, you can see quadrant 1, let me articulate, is both urgent and important. And this deals with results that require immediate attention. And we usually call activities in this quadrant crises or problems. Now, we all have this quadrant in our lives, But some of us let this quadrant almost consume us. And you would recognize these sort of people as crisis managers, problem-minded people, deadline-driven producers. So some people, they're literally beaten up by problems all day, every day, and the only relief they have is an escaping to the not important, not urgent activities in quadrant 4, with only negligible attention to the other two. So lots of time up here in urgent and important, and then some time down here in the not urgent, not important, but pretty much ignoring most of these other two. What about some of the other? So what are some of the results of spending most of your time mainly in quadrant 1? It's stress, burnout, crisis management, and that feeling of always putting out fires. Now, there are other people who spend a great deal of time in the urgent but not important quadrant 3, actually thinking that they are up here in quadrant 1. So they spend most of their time reacting to things that are urgent, assuming they are important. But the reality is that these matters, the understanding of the level of importance is often based on expectations and priorities created by other people. So if you spend most of your time in quadrant 3, what's the outcome for you? So it's a short-term focus, crisis management. You're seen as having a chameleon-like character. You see goals and plans as worthless. Often people in this quadrant can feel victimized and out of control. And this results in shallow or broken relationships. I'm having a lot of trouble with my words tonight. I think maybe I've been talking a little bit too much already today. Now, what about people who spend the time down the bottom here in quadrants 3 and quadrants 4? Well, basically, they lead pretty irresponsible lives. They're the sort of people that you see actually just not taking responsibility for anything, who often get fired from their jobs, and they end up dependent on others or institutions for their basics. Now, having said all that, where do effective people spend their time? Well, they stay out of quadrant 3 down here and quadrant 4 because, urgent or not, they just are not important. They also shrink quadrant 1 down in size by spending more time in quadrant 2. So this is the important and not urgent area. So quadrant 2 is actually the heart of effective personal management. It deals with things that are not urgent, but are important. It deals with things like building relationships, writing a personal mission statement, long-range planning, exercise, preventative maintenance, preparation, all of those things that we know we need to do, but somehow we seldom get around to them because they aren't urgent. So what does this mean? Like, effective people, they're not problem-minded. They're not focused on solving problems. They're opportunity-minded. They feed on opportunities and they starve problems. They think preventatively. They do have don't get me wrong, they do have genuine quarter 1 crises and emergencies where things are urgent and important and they require immediate attention. But because of the planning and the important but not urgent work that's already been done, the number of crises and emergencies is comparatively small. So now take a moment to consider the questions. What's the one thing that you could do that you aren't doing now that if you did it on a regular basis would make a positive difference in your personal life? And what's the one thing in your business life that would bring similar results? With the time management matrix in mind, take a moment now and consider what quadrant your answers fit in. Are they important? Are they urgent? My guess is that they most probably fit into quadrant 2, which is not urgent, but important. So they're obviously important, deeply important, but not urgent. And because it's not urgent, that's probably the reason why you haven't done them up until now. So what I would urge you to do is take action and do one thing tomorrow that you've identified by answering either of those 2 questions. So what's the next step that you can take from here? Well, you can book in with me for a complimentary business health check. I'll pop the link in the comments around the live in a little bit. And what I just wanted to remind you about is that the purpose of having this business health check is to see whether we are a good fit to work together, how I could help and support you. And if we do decide to work together, my Foundations of Success program has a couple of options available. We can do one-on-one sessions together. Normally, we would look at starting off with 6 sessions to just get started on your initial goal. Or usually once a quarter, there'll be a 2-day workshop, which is a done with you experience where we will work through either creating or revising your purpose, mission, values, and planning process. And then we'll spend some time looking at habit formation and which time management techniques actually work best for you. So if you come and spend some time with me in a workshop like that, you'll actually leave the workshop with the exact actions that you need to start implementing the following Monday to get yourself on the path to success, and also to bring down those stress levels and that speed bump that's caused by overwhelm. So imagine what it would be like having me working beside you in your business as your coach who will keep you accountable and support you implementing the strategies that you need to do to get your business and life exactly where you want them to be. So don't wait. If you can't find the link, then simply comment below or send me a message and say, let's chat. And that is, I'm looking for different photos to show you each week. And that is me in Nepal about 2017 when I was trekking the Annapurna circuit. So that's it for me this week. Thank you so much for being with me. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. And as always, I hope that something that I've said has resonated with you and you've come away with at least one thing that is going to help you when you start your work tomorrow. So until we speak again, what I want you to do is always remember you have everything you already need within you. You just need to find it. So thanks so much, and I will see you all soon.